Tree hay is a method for feeding animals with what the forest already gives. A lot of families in the Balkan and across rural Europe still make it. But you don't grow trees just for fodder. You use the smaller branches you already have when you fell a tree for firewood. And we use the thicker branches to make wood chips for bedding in our stables. Nothing gets wasted. If you've ever heated your house with wood from your own land, you've already made half of tree hay. When a tree comes down for firewood, the trunk goes to the stove and the branches go to the animals. That is tree hay. Simple, practical, and it has kept livestock alive for thousands of years. In this video, I will tell you where it comes from, how we make it, and why people are remembering it again. Tree hay is dried branches with leaves and bark still on them, stored for winter feed. The name sounds fancy, but it is just the parts of the tree we don't burn. In old times, people would pull the trees every summer just for leaves. Today, most do it like us. When we cut a tree for firewood, we take all the leafy branches and thin twigs and turn them into fodder. I cut up the branches while Dennis cuts the firewood into meters and stacks them. Together, we stack the cleaned up thicker branches for later on with our wood chipper for bedding. They have to dry first. The best trees for tree hay are ash, hornbeam, beech, oak, maple, hazel, willow and fruit trees. Goats love them most. Then sheep, then cows. And our donkeys really like them too. Chickens will pick through the dry leaves for seeds and bugs in winter too. People have done this for as long as they kept animals and burned wood. In the Balkans and Dinaric Mountains, winter was long and meadows were small. So when a household cut wood for the winter, the whole tree was used. Logs for heat, thick branches for tools, and all the small leafy branches tied into bundles and stored in the barn loft or under the eaves. Written records from the 1800s in Bosnia, Serbia and Croatia describe granje za stoku, branches for livestock. It wasn't a separate job. It was part of cutting firewood. Children would strip leaves, women would tie bundles, men would stack them high so air could get through. When cheap grain and imported feed arrived after World War II, a lot of people stopped. But on small farms with land and animals, the practice never fully left. Because when snow is deep and feed trucks can't come, those bundles in the loft are what keep animals alive. We make tree hay with the firewood method. It is the most efficient method because you're already doing the hard work of felling the tree. A few things are important. First, choose the right time. Best is summer to early autumn. July to September is ideal because leaves are full of nutrients but not yet falling. However, winter cuts work too. The leaves will be dry already and animals will eat the bark and buds. Avoid spring when the sap is running and the wood is very wet. When it's the right time to make tree hay, we fell a tree for firewood. Once it's on the ground, Dennis cuts up the trunk into meters, while I start on bundling branches and leaves. We separate the branches. Thick branches, so 5 centimeters and up, are for firewood. Medium branches, everything between 2 and 5 centimeters, are cleaned up and stacked. They will dry, and when we need more bedding in the stables, we will drive there with our wood chipper on the tractor and make wood chips. However, if you don't have a wood chipper, you can add them to your tree hay. Animals will strip the bark and chew the wood. Thin branches and twigs with the leaves still on are the gold. Cut them into short bundles. Next, you have to dry the bundles. This is the key step so they don't mold. Tie the leafy branches into loose bundles with twine or old baler string. Hang them over fences, poles, lay them on a rack, or do it like us and hang them directly onto trees. You want air all around and no direct sunlight. In good weather, they dry in 5 to 10 days. In wet autumn weather, bring them into a barn, shed, or under a roof and let them dry for 2 to 3 weeks. They're ready when the leaves rustle and they don't feel cool to the touch anymore. Stack the dry bundles in a loft, shed, or against the wall under cover. Keep them off the ground on pallets. Rodents will try to nest, so check them through winter. In winter, or whenever you need some fodder, bring in a bundle at a time. Hang it at head height for goats and sheep, or toss it on the ground for cows, donkeys, or horses. They'll eat the leaves first, then the bark, and then the thin twigs. What's left can go to bedding or onto the compost. One medium oak or ash tree can give you 3 to 6 big bundles. You have a lot of benefits from making tree hay. That it is free winter feed is probably the biggest one. Hay and pellets are expensive. Branches from your own woodlot cost labor, not money. It's very beneficial for your animal's health because the bark has tannins that help with worms. The act of stripping branches keeps animals busy and reduces fighting, and the fiber is good for rumen health. One of my favorite benefits is that there is no waste. The tree feeds you twice, once with heat, once with food, and the wood chips go into coops, stables, and the garden. Tree hay is a drought insurance. When grass fails in a dry July, the trees still grow. When hay prices spike in February, your loft is already full. It is also a sustainable method because you're only taking branches, not clearing, and your woodlot keeps growing. We are selectively cutting for firewood and help the forest to stay healthy. We never fell old trees, but we give them and other selected trees more room to grow. Making tree hay is still common in places with winters, wood stoves, and animals. In the Balkans and Eastern Europe, it is still standard. Ask any older shepherd how they got through the 90s and they'll mention granje. It's not in books, it's in barns. In Scandinavia and the Alps, they revived the old pole-loading system, but many small farms also do exactly what we do, process branches from firewood cuts. Homesteaders and regenerative farms in North America and New Zealand are catching on too. They call it fodder trees or browse, but the practice is identical. Farmers in the Mediterranean and tropics make it with olive, mulberry and acacia. They cut branches, feed the same day or dry it for later. And I also have a few more tips for you. It's important to mix species. Don't feed only one type of tree. Mix in ash, hazel, fruitwood, oak. More variety means better nutrition. And cut before the leaves drop. Even if you don't need the firewood until January, fell in September or a bit earlier and store the logs. That way you catch the leaves. And it's important to not use toxic species. Avoid cherry, walnut, yew, oleander, and most firewood trees are safe. You can also let animals self-select. Put out 2 or 3 different bundles and they'll eat what they need. Why it matters now is that feed prices, dry summers and long winters are making a lot of people look back at old methods. But for families with land and animals, this was never old. It was just common sense. You cut wood to stay warm. You save branches to keep animals. The forest gives twice. And in spring, when the hay is gone and the snow is still on the ground, those bundles are the difference. It fits perfectly with our life, our animals and our land. The land gives the wood warms the house and feeds the animals, and the animals give back.